What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today we are doing our championship review for match day 8 of the championship. We've got a load of talking points to go over. Reading win again. We've got two very controversial red card decisions. For people who've got a correct score, I'll show you your correct scores tomorrow when I do my championship score predictions, and I'll also update the Lexus Hall of Fame in that time at all. Also, this is very late at night. This is the latest I've ever recorded, so if you've noticed my voice is a little bit quieter, then do forgive me for that. But if you guys are new around here and you want to see more content, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. If you're new around here, my name is Alex. I do football and championship content as often as I can. Without any further ado, let's talk about these championship midweek games. We'll start off with the early game that took place on Tuesday, where Barnsley got their first win of the season against a very lackluster Queen's Park Rangers side, who look to be a side that just can't seem to score a goal for no love or money at the moment. But for Barnsley, this is their first game under their new manager Ismail, and this is a fantastic win on his hands. Cauley Woodrow scored a penalty after being brought down by Rob Dickey. He scores it and that made it 1-0, and following that red card from Queen's Park Rangers, they never had a chance of getting back into it. Connor Chaplin scored, I think, the best goal in the game. Brilliant link-up play actually on the left-hand side of the penalty box. Shots it past the keeper and that made it 2-0. And the defending from Queen's Park Rangers was really poor, and their night was just summed up by Johan Barbe's own goal. Very unfortunate on his part. It's going to be interesting now to see if Barnsley can kick on from this win and they can have a fantastic run of form. And then we had a mad game go round in the Ewood Park. I did say I was the most excited for this game to see how Reading will be tested against Blackburn, because arguably I think Reading have had a very easy run in, although this was the first big test. But they take the lead in 9 seconds in. Yaku Mate with the goal. I mean, the defending for that goal was absolutely atrocious, but is that the fastest goal in the championship? I mean, I don't know the official records, but I think it may be. But then Blackburn scored 2 minutes later, equalised from Adam Armstrong. And then Michael Olise, who's been another fantastic player, a player from a youth academy just stepping up. He's been absolutely unbelievable, scoring a goal to make it 2-1. Then in the second half, Reading increased their lead with a goal from Josh Laurent. Adam Armstrong did make things a little bit nervous for them. You know, with him being the top championship goal scorer so far, I would expect him to make some pressure, although Reading got a pretty convincing 4-2 win in the end with 22 points out of 24. I mean, right now they're 6 points of Bournemouth, who are second place. I know it's very early days in the season, but to already bridge a gap that big in this start of the season, unbelievable. And I think from Reading fans' perspective, they need to try and keep that gap as long as they can. And I think already they've really starting to emerge as one of the favourites of being promoted. Speaking of teams being favoured to get promoted, that is what we saw with Brentford and Norwich, and they drew 1-1. And I think the game overall was pretty tight. I think Norwich started off quite well, but then Brentford ultimately took over, and then they were just getting peppered of chances from Brentford. But Tim Krul in goal was absolutely incredible. Ivan Toney was the one who scored for Brentford. Some brilliant play down the right and a fantastic cross to find Ivan Toney. Krul couldn't do anything about it. He was only 2 yards out. They made it 1-0. And then despite Norwich pretty much not being in the game since Brentford had their good spell, they scam a goal. And it's another late goal for the 4th game running now. And it's Kenny McLean who takes a shot, and it's a very unfortunate deflection. A very lucky goal for Norwich, but a very unlucky goal to concede for Brentford's part. With Brentford right now, I think as soon as they start to click into gear, they'll definitely be one of the favourites. I mean, they didn't really have a strong start last year either. It was when until like mid-November, early December, when they started climbing up the table rapidly. And I think that's the sort of pattern we'll see again. Even though it's a slightly weaker squad in my opinion from last year, I do think it has the quality to sustain a promotion chase. Then we saw Middlesbrough get a 2-0 victory against a Coventry side who are another team low on confidence. They've not won a game since their 3-2 victory against Queen's Park Rangers. And I think it's a cause of concern. I mean, to be honest, Coventry, you know, I've been saying the same things with them. They look pretty good going forward. I mean, despite not scoring against Middlesbrough in this game, I just think it's because Middlesbrough were really tight at the back. But I do fear for their defence. The ease of the 2 goals scored by Asobalonga and DJ Spence. Just simple long balls cutting through a wide defensive line. It's a cause of concern in my opinion. They definitely need to fix up defensively. If they can do that, then I think Coventry can recover. But we've got to be careful with sides below them. Middlesbrough, I think, are going to be a team that's a bit of a wild card, in my opinion, really. You know, they've not lost since the opening day of the season. Neil Warnock's still getting those pretty ugly wins from this side. I think they can easily definitely make a push for top 6. Whether they stay in the top 6 is going to be interesting. They do remind me a little bit of Cardiff when Neil Warnock was in charge of that club in terms of their play. But I'm really intrigued to see where Middlesbrough go, because obviously they really underperformed last season. And with another 2-0 victory, we saw Swansea recover from their 1-1 draw in the weekend, beating Stoke City, who looked fantastic against Brentford. But unfortunately in this game, they were second best, didn't have a shot on target in the entire game, Stoke City. Swansea were all over them, and they took the lead very quickly. A very nice weighted goal and a good team goal for them. In the second half, I thought what was an interesting decision is that Michael O'Neill brought on Angus Gunn, obviously signed from Southampton. I don't know, maybe Adam Davies had an injury or something, but he looked just as nervous in that 9-0 defeat to Leicester as he did in that game. There was one time where he slipped over and he had to handball the ball, and Stoke were put under pressure as the team literally had a free shot in the box, and luckily for them, Ayew managed to miss it. He didn't manage to take his chance. Swansea did finish off the scoring with a goal from Casey Palmer, who I do highly rate as a Championship player. He was very brave. He gets just about enough of a touch on it, a very brave move on his part, and that managed to get through to the net, and he got heavily rewarded for it. So Swansea right now, this was a terrific response, and for me, it's a good reminder of why Swansea need to be threatened in this league this year. The attacking quality that they have, I feel like they've definitely got one of the most expansive options they have in terms of a squad. So I'm really excited by Swansea. And then Wycombe have got their first point of the season. But the main point is, should it have been 3 for Wycombe? Because they had so many chances in this game. Akinfenwa had a fantastic chance. It was the first time that Akinfenwa managed to start a game, and he was captain, and he was completely bullying that back line for Watford. They just couldn't handle him as well. They couldn't really handle his presence at all. He had a free shot when Foster made an unbelievable save, but unfortunately he hit it over the goal. But Foster made some really key saves to keep Watford in it. And whilst Watford weren't really in the game, they kind of scammed the lead in the second half. It was Ismail Yassar who won a header that made it 1-0, and then thought, okay, here we go again. Wycombe are going to lose. But no, Wycombe respond fantastically. Anthony Stewart with a header, and that made it 1-1. And honestly, a very similar scenario to when they had their disallowed goal against Millwall. They have a very similar goal chalked off against Watford. And I don't know about this one. Maybe it was correct, it was ruled off. But once again, I think this one's going to be 50-50. Watford, I think they're definitely going to be up there in terms of the table. I think this was just a very flat performance. But I do think they have what it takes to respond with the sheer amount of quality in their squad. And then we go to yesterday's games. We'll start off with Millwall getting a 2-0 victory over Preston. I mean, I tell you this, Preston are the only team who have not picked up a point at home, but also have not scored at home either. Even Wycombe have scored 2 more home goals than Preston have had this season. They need to fix their home form. And yes, it may be a big contribution with them not having fans in the stadium, but it's Preston North End. It's not a team like Man United or anything. They need to find a way that they can actually get results at home. Maybe the crowd are probably more important to Preston than a load of people think, but Millwall were the team having the chances. They had so many good opportunities. Declan Rudd had a brilliant performance in goal. Millwall couldn't break the deadlock until the second half. It was a goal from Kenneth Zahor, a brilliant bit of play, a brilliant counter down the centre of the pitch. Jed Wallace was on the right hand side, squared it to Kenneth Zahor to get past Rudd, and that made it 1-0 to Millwall. Millwall got their second from a very dubious penalty decision. For me, not a penalty. But Jed Wallace stepped up and he scored it. And that made it 2-0 to Millwall. Millwall right now are in the top 6, 4th place right now with 15 points. Honestly, I wasn't too sure about Millwall at their start of the season, but they're getting results now. And they were really good against Preston, actually. Garraro was still not in due to him testing positive for COVID-19. But he'll be very proud of his side. And then we see Birmingham pick up their first win since their opening day victory against Brentford. And let me tell you, it was promised to be a game we were not going to get many goals. I mean, Birmingham only scored 3 goals in 7 games. And the fact they scored 2 was absolutely surprising. That's the first time they scored 2 goals in the game. Gary Gardner got the first goal from a Jeremy Bella free kick. He won header, poor defending on Huddersfield Park, but that made it 1-0 to Birmingham. And overall, I'd say Birmingham were getting a little bit of control, especially in the first half. Second half, I do say Huddersfield did step up a little bit. Carlos Corberán with his high pressing and possession style football did start to tire the Birmingham back line. Eventually, in the 85th minute, it was Mbenza with a free kick, a beautifully taken free kick in the top right corner, which made it 1-1, and he beat Neil Etheridge. But it was Lukas Djukovic that got the winner, and it was Jonathan Leka who ran past the left-hand side, hit the crossbar, but Djukovic just taps in the rebound. And funny that, it's Birmingham's first goal in open play this season in Matchday 8. And that is how Birmingham got their 2-1 win. Just goes to show how important Djukovic is to that squad as well. When he missed 2 games due to getting a COVID test, I think that Birmingham really struggled without him. Then we saw a top of the table clash between Bournemouth and Bristol City, and it was Bournemouth that got a 1-0 win. A very interesting test to see where the top sides compared. And to be honest, it was a very close game. First half, I'd say Bristol City edged it. Brilliant chances. That save Begovic made from Tyreek Backinson, oh my god, I would go as far to say probably one of the saves of the season so far. Thomas Callis had a header which was cleared off the line by Joshua King, and later on they just regretted missing those chances because Bournemouth, in the second half especially, rallied forward and eventually they started attacking. Solanke was always a threat. He had a free kick in the first half that just went wide, but their goal was brilliant. Brilliant link-up play between Solanke to find Danjuma, who was a substitute, who was only on the pitch for 6 minutes, but he scores the only goal in the game, and that made it 1-0. Very ingenious substitution by Jason Tindall. It's a third game without a win for Bristol City now. They definitely need to try and get a win as soon as they can, because I don't think their performances were that bad, but I just think they dropped off the second half, which was a bit disappointing on my part. Of course, they've got so many injuries. Andre Weiman's out for pretty much the whole season. Mawson could be out for the whole season. Sessegnon's got an injury. They have got their hands tied. With Bournemouth following this win, they're now second place. And honestly, I'm just struggling to pick which one for recently relegated clubs I'm backing. I mean, I think Watford could potentially be up there, but I'm still thinking that, are we going to see 2 for recently relegated sides being the top 2? Or are we going to see a team like Reading get up there? It's so open this year in the Championship. You really can't call it. And then we saw Derby and Cardiff get a 1-1 draw with Martin Waghorn. As soon as he's back, he has really given this sort of creative spark that Derby have been lacking. His free kick against Forest was great, but that one against Cardiff I think was even better. He shoots it, but the whip to get it in the top left corner. Unbelievable free kick. But what was disappointing is that they allowed Cardiff to get back into it. Very contrasting styles. Cardiff were very threatening from their set pieces. Kiefer Moore had a header which came off the post. And in the second half, Junior Hoilett had an effort that came off the post as well. And unfortunately, Derby just lost control. And eventually, the inevitable happened. Kiefer Moore scored, and it was a brilliant play by Ojo actually to pick him out. And that made it 1-1, which I do think in the end of it was, I think, the fair result. I think with Derby, for the fact they got that lead, it was a brilliant goal and they were starting pretty well, Derby. They should have kept control. In terms of Cardiff, a classic Cardiff performance in my opinion, grinded out for a point, and I think they'll definitely take an away point against Derby. And another 1-1 draw happened at Kenilworth Road with another East Midlands side, Nottingham Forest. And I was so angry I didn't predict this because this was going to be my alternative prediction. By the way, I got 0 correct scores, so I'm absolutely fuming. But it was Luton that took the lead, and it was Glenn Ree that actually scored in both sides of the field. Talking about his actual goal first, it was from a corner, poor defending on Forest's part, but brilliant shot, and he was just given so much space. He took a shot, and that made it 1-0 to Luton. Forest's goal, I think, was a little bit better, charging down the right-hand side, a brilliant cross, and it was such a teasing ball, but I think it just came off Ree, that just got past Simon Sluga, and that is how it was 1-1 at the end. Ionu did get a red card from a very high challenge as well, very poor tackle on his part. And finally, we have the Yorkshire Derby, which ended Rotherham 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0, their second win of the season. Likewise with Birmingham, their first win since the opening day of the season. And I have to say, I hate singling out players, but Cameron Dawson, what the hell? You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? But all 3 of the goals, I felt if he did something different, could have been avoided. First goal, to be fair, I don't think he was at much fault, but he hesitated. You know, there's a bit of uneasiness when you see Cameron Dawson play. If he actually ran up and actually attacked the ball, then it would not have resulted in Jamie Lindsay scoring his goal. The second goal was the turning point of the game. A very long ball, which the Dapo won. But Cameron Dawson, what on earth was he doing there? He'll definitely be exposed for his second goal. A miscommunication between him and Tom Lees. Tom Lees literally just wrestles the Dapper to the ground. He gets a straight red card, and following this, Barnsley'S scores the penalty, and that made it 2-0 to Rotherham. And even with that, you know, because Rotherham have been dropping so many points from winning positions, maybe Sheffield Wednesday could have done something, but they didn't look threatening at all, which was very, very disappointing in my opinion. It got worse when Lindsay scored his second goal just before half time. Once again, this resulted in Dawson making a save, but he parried it straight at Lindsay, who just simply had to shoot the ball back in the net, and that made it 3-0 to Rotherham. When you're down to 10 men, especially when you lose a defender, it's not going to be easy to try and get anything out of it. They've dropped points against Luton and Rotherham, which I would have thought would have been winnable games. Sheffield Wednesday definitely need to look at themselves and definitely get rid of that deduction as soon as they can. You've seen sides like Wycombe pick up their first point, Barnsley picking up their first win of the season. They missed a big opportunity here. They definitely need to start winning as soon as they can. As with Rotherham, if they continue performances like this and keeping things tight to the back, keeping a clean sheet, then I think Rotherham will be okay. So that wraps it up, and here is the championship table after match day 8. Reading, 22 points out of 24, 6 points ahead of second place Bournemouth, 7 points clear of the top 6. Unbelievable. Swansea, Millwall, Watford and Bristol City make the rest of the top 6. We've got Norwich, Middlesbrough climbing up a few places, Luton, Stoke, Brentford and Blackburn making up the top half of the table. Then the bottom half, you've got Preston, Cardiff, Birmingham, Huddersfield, Rotherham climbing up a few places, Barnsley all the way up in 18th now, Queen's Park Rangers falling to 19th. Then we've got Forest, Derby and then Coventry fall into the bottom 3 along with Wycombe and of course Sheffield Wednesday on -4 points. But that was it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel so you can see regular football and championship content. And please push me to 500 subscribers as soon as we can. I feel like with the support, you can definitely do that. And to do that, please share my channel to your social media, to anyone you know. All of that would really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care.